I grew up watching music videos, and
You really nailed it.
It was a big joke. The whole idea was that I failed at all these proposals because I was...
Blake Lively has reportedly crossed a major line, with new evidence suggesting she leaked confidential Sony HR complaints about co-star Justin Baldoni in a bold and reckless attempt to damage his career. Hollywood insiders are buzzing as this revelation comes to light, exposing Blake for allegedly trying to sabotage Baldoni by disclosing sensitive internal documents. What she thought would strengthen her claims against him has completely backfired, revealing her true intentions to the public. Now the tables are turning, with Justin Baldoni stepping up, flipping the narrative, and coming out on top. While Blake's entire strategy is collapsing around her, the tension in Hollywood is palpable. By allegedly sharing private HR reports to undermine Baldoni, Blake has plunged herself into seriously scandalous territory. What was meant to ruin his reputation has instead placed her credibility in jeopardy. As Baldoni responds with force, armed with evidence proving his innocence, what began as a private HR dispute has spiraled into a full-blown media frenzy. With fans, journalists, and industry insiders closely watching every development, the more Blake pushes, the harder Baldoni fights back, and the more public her miscalculations become. This scandal is rapidly escalating into Blake's worst nightmare, from attempting to manipulate public perception to losing control of the narrative entirely. The fallout shows how one desperate move can swiftly unravel even the most calculated celebrity strategy. Co-stars insist the truth is in those documents and claim Blake Lively is the one who used her power and influence to exploit them. The leaked HR complaints reportedly detailed multiple confidential reports filed with Sony Pictures, accusing Justin Baldoni of inappropriate behavior on the set of It Ends With Us. According to the documents, at least 2 actresses felt uncomfortable due to Baldoni's conduct during filming on the surface. These claims seem to support Blake Lively's accusations that Baldoni created a toxic work environment. But the key question remains, are these complaints genuine, or are they part of a calculated smear campaign? Baldoni's team insists it's the latter, claiming Blake's camp planted the story to tarnish his reputation. Blake's publicist denies any involvement, but skepticism persists. If these complaints were authentic, why weren't they included in Blake's formal legal filings against Baldoni? The legitimacy of the leaked documents is now under intense scrutiny. So, how did these reports surface? True to tabloid form, the confidential files mysteriously appeared on social media, sparking a firestorm. TikTok and Instagram were flooded with screenshots allegedly showing official HR complaints filed with Sony. The timing was suspicious, coinciding with Blake preparing a new lawsuit that added further accusations against Baldoni. It's difficult to ignore the impression that someone deliberately stirred drama to sway public opinion in Blake's favor. The sources behind the leak remain anonymous, but speculation is rampant that it originated from someone within Blake's circle. Real HR complaints are private, handled internally, and never intended for public exposure. The fact that these reports ended up online suggests a calculated move designed to harm Baldoni's public image, prompting a swift and decisive response from Sony, which denied any record of such complaints. In statements to Variety, Sony confirmed that no HR filings against Justin Baldoni exist. The very entity allegedly receiving these complaints now insists they never existed, raising serious red flags about the leak's authenticity. Further scrutiny revealed additional inconsistencies. The leaked documents had redacted dates, making it impossible to verify when or if these complaints were actually filed. Redacting dates in official HR files is highly unusual and suggests an attempt to obscure the truth. Sony has made it clear that they never authorized the release of these documents, implying either internal theft or complete fabrication. Either scenario constitutes a major scandal. If Blake Lively orchestrated this leak, she could be facing far more than public backlash. Releasing confidential HR files is not only unethical, it could also be illegal, as these documents are typically protected by strict workplace privacy policies. Unauthorized disclosure could violate corporate rules or privacy laws, and if the reports were fabricated to frame Baldoni, the stakes rise even higher, potentially constituting fraud and defamation on a massive scale. Legal experts warn that submitting false evidence with the intent to damage someone's career can carry serious legal consequences. At the heart of this controversy is one clear takeaway. What Blake may have intended as a strategic move to discredit Baldoni has completely backfired. Instead of supporting her narrative, the leak has put her credibility under a microscope and raised serious questions about the legality of her actions. Meanwhile, Baldoni is using the scrutiny to his advantage, reinforcing his innocence and pushing back against the false narrative. This scandal illustrates how quickly private HR matters can explode into a public, high-stakes spectacle when confidentiality is violated or manipulated. The alleged leak of Sony HR complaints is far more than a tabloid rumor. It is a complex, potentially illegal maneuver that threatens careers, reputations, and legal standing. Whether these files were authentic or entirely fabricated, the fallout is only beginning. Blake Lively may have seriously underestimated the consequences of playing with confidential information in the public eye, as circulating forged HR complaints could result in career-ending repercussions or hefty lawsuits. Word on the street is that Blake's stunt is already raising major legal alarms. Sony is not the kind of company to tolerate leaks of confidential internal files, and Baldoni's team is reportedly furious. What Blake thought would bolster her case has instead left her exposed to accusations of evidence, tampering, and deceitful tactics. It is a classic example of a plan backfiring spectacularly. While Justin Baldoni remained steadfast and unshaken. As soon as the questionable HR complaints hit the internet, his lawyer, Brian Fredman, acted quickly to cast doubt on their legitimacy, emphasizing that an investigation into the source of the leaks is underway and that those responsible will be held accountable. Fredman highlighted the suspicious redaction of key details, like dates, calling the documents a potential setup, and making it clear that his team is not buying the claims. These leaks may even be part of Blake's alleged long-standing personal smear campaign. Baldoni has maintained his innocence while taking decisive action, gathering evidence to expose the full truth and launching a legal counterattack that could leave Blake regretting her actions. This HR complaint fiasco is just the latest chapter in a months-long feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. The tension dates back to the filming of It Ends With Us, where conflicts between the director and co-star were already simmering. By the film's premiere in August 2024, it was obvious to observers that something was off. Baldoni was noticeably absent from joint cast interviews and avoided posing with Blake and the rest of the cast on the NYC red carpet. Blake smiled for the cameras while Baldoni kept a low profile with his family. Rumors of a rift were already spreading. In late December 2024, Blake escalated the feud by filing a bombshell complaint against Baldoni, accusing him of unprofessional and troubling behavior on set. She portrayed him as a nightmare to work with, alleging he created a toxic environment and even entered her trailer without permission, making inappropriate comments. Baldoni vehemently denied all claims. Blake's filing also took an unusual turn, accusing Baldoni and his producing partner of running a smear campaign against her, essentially blaming him for negative press surrounding her. With that lawsuit, the gloves were off. Lively was not just airing grievances. She launched a full-scale attack, claiming harassment, retaliation, and emotional distress, and publicly targeting another A-list actor. Baldoni responded immediately and decisively. Within days, he released evidence contradicting several of Blake's claims. One of her more dramatic accusations involved a dance scene where she suggested Baldoni made an unwanted advance. Behind-the-scenes footage revealed a completely different story. Blake and Baldoni joked around, laughed about her spray tan, and exchanged playful remarks. Hardly the inappropriate encounter she described. I don't
want to give away any spoilers. The very first time we met, we had a 3-hour meeting. And by the end of that meeting, I just knew she was Lily. We had
Every attempt Blake Lively made to twist the story was met with cold, hard proof, and the media frenzy followed quickly. What began as private legal filings exploded onto the front pages of major outlets, putting the feud under intense public scrutiny. The alleged HR complaints, combined with Blake's earlier lawsuit, only amplified this attention. Now she finds herself in a precarious position, her credibility questioned, her motives publicly dissected, and Baldoni's defense growing stronger by the day. While Blake tried to manipulate perception and sway public opinion, Justin Baldoni used transparency and evidence to turn the narrative in his favor. The ongoing legal battle has escalated far beyond a personal conflict. It has become a high-stakes professional and public showdown, with careers, reputations, and potential legal consequences hanging in the balance. The saga continues to unfold, and with each new development, it becomes clearer that Baldoni's strategy of evidence-based defense is succeeding, while Blake's attempts at subterfuge are collapsing spectacularly. Even major outlets like the New York Times published investigative pieces amplifying Blake's accusations. But Baldoni was quick to push back, denouncing the coverage as a biased hit job. So outraged was he that he filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit against the publication, claiming it selectively used altered communications to make him appear guilty. By taking on one of the most powerful newspapers in the world, Baldoni sent a clear message. He had nothing to hide. The lawsuit immediately bolstered his public image, demonstrating his commitment to transparency and reinforcing the idea that Blake's claims were being distorted in the court of public opinion. Meanwhile, as Blake continued pushing her narrative, more of her manipulative tactics began to surface. Long before any official complaints were filed, rumors and gossip columns about Baldoni's behavior were already circulating. Baldoni's team accused Blake's publicist, Judy Sloan, of orchestrating a press smear campaign, planting false stories that multiple women on set had filed HR complaints against him. While Sloan denied orchestrating the story, the damage was done. It is now evident that Blake, or those close to her, were likely pulling strings behind the scenes to tarnish Baldoni's reputation well before the lawsuit began. The leaked Sony HR documents were merely the climax of a larger ongoing campaign. Further evidence of deceptive tactics came in the form of an audio clip that surfaced in late January, just as a judge had set a trial date. The recording captured Baldoni privately apologizing to Blake over a minor issue regarding script changes. Supporters of Blake seized on the clip, claiming he was confessing to misconduct. In reality, he was apologizing for a creative disagreement, unrelated to harassment. The leak turned a private conversation into another tool for public manipulation, strongly suggesting Blake's involvement. Hollywood took notice, and not favorably. Industry insiders reacted with shock and caution, and many studios quietly sided with Baldoni, or at least questioned Blake's underhanded tactics. If she was willing to leak internal documents and private messages to harm a colleague, who could be next? Reports indicate that some studios are already distancing themselves from Blake, wary of being caught up in her drama. No one wants to work with an actor who might expose confidential information or create a PR nightmare on set. Even Blake and Ryan Reynolds' recent public appearance raised eyebrows. In January, the couple attended the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special, their first red carpet in months, attempting to appear unaffected by the controversy. Reynolds made a light-hearted joke on stage, seemingly referencing the legal saga, but instead of softening the narrative, the humor backfired. The moment drew further attention to the couple's entanglement in the ongoing feud, and underscored how quickly Hollywood's perception of Blake has shifted. Observers, including Justin Baldoni's lawyer, found Ryan Reynolds' joke during the SNL appearance distasteful and awkward. "I'm unaware of anybody whose wife has clicked on my account and then jokes about it," Brian Fredman remarked, calling Reynolds' quip surprising. That sentiment quickly spread through Hollywood circles. Many insiders viewed Blake and Ryan's handling of the situation as completely toned up, raising questions about their true intentions and judgment. Meanwhile, Blake's leak of the HR complaints could land her in serious legal trouble, extending far beyond her original lawsuit. Justin Baldoni didn't hesitate to respond, filing a massive countersuit accusing Blake and Ryan Reynolds of defamation and civil extortion. In the $400 million lawsuit, Baldoni alleges that Blake and Ryan attempted to destroy his career by pressuring him with false allegations. The civil extortion claims suggest that Baldoni believes Blake and Ryan tried to blackmail him, possibly threatening to go public with the complaints unless he complied with their demands. If proven true, Blake could face significant legal consequences. Moreover, if it is revealed that she orchestrated or leaked the Sony HR reports, she could face additional charges or sanctions. There is even talk that Sony may launch an internal investigation to determine whether an employee assisted her, which could lead to firings or further lawsuits. In short, Blake's bold attempt to take down Baldoni has triggered a legal chain reaction that could blow up in her face. She now must defend not just her original claims, but her entire conduct throughout this escalating mess. Throughout the saga, Justin Baldoni has steadily regained control of the narrative. He has positioned himself as an innocent man fighting to clear his name, and the evidence appears to back him up. Baldoni's lawyer has dismissed Blake's latest amended complaint, which now includes other actresses, and additional drama as yet another layer of her increasingly dubious case. The accusations against Justin have proven underwhelming and largely unsupported by credible sources. Aside from Blake herself, no one has come forward with verifiable testimony backing her claims. The two women she references remain anonymous, and Sony has publicly confirmed they have no record of any formal complaints. Their supposed grievances surfaced only through Blake's filings and the questionable leaked documents, making it increasingly clear that she is scrambling to manufacture support where none exists. Baldoni's team has also emphasized that his production company, Wayfarer, never launched any smear campaign against Blake. Instead, they simply responded to media inquiries with facts directly refuting her claims. Justin's team has maintained professionalism while Blake's side has been busy leaking documents, planting stories, and whispering behind the scenes to push her agenda. As the legal battle unfolds, the power dynamics have shifted dramatically. Justin has taken the offensive, placing Blake and Ryan on notice with his defamation and extortion suit, launching a public website to present his side of the story, and even obtaining court-imposed limits on Blake's PR tactics. Baldoni now comes across as confident, transparent, and unafraid to fight in the open, while Blake continues to rely on shadowy maneuvers, leaked files, secret texts, and clandestine campaigns to try to control the narrative. The contrast could not be clearer. Baldoni is playing openly and strategically, while Blake appears increasingly desperate and exposed, with Hollywood watching closely as her credibility and legal standing hang in the balance. Every new move Blake Lively makes, whether it's leaking HR complaints or sharing voice notes, seems to backfire. further exposing her duplicity. Each attempt to create a gotcha moment gets debunked or misfires, chipping away at her credibility. What began as a calculated attack on Justin Baldoni has increasingly turned into a damning indictment of Blake herself by attempting to weaponize confidential HR complaints and resorting to underhanded tactics. Blake Lively has inflicted serious damage on her own reputation. What she likely imagined would be a decisive blow to Justin Baldoni's career has instead exposed her willingness to cross ethical and legal lines out of spite. As more facts come to light, Blake's credibility lies in tatters. Any moral high ground she once claimed is gone, replaced by a trail of public skepticism and distrust. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni stands vindicated. He has weathered the storm of false accusations and emerges as the clear victim of a baseless character attack. Baldoni's steadfast approach, combined with transparency, has earned him public sympathy, while his legal counteractions signal that he is unafraid to confront Blake's manipulations head-on. What began as a scheme intended to destroy Baldoni's career has now become a public unraveling of Blake's carefully curated image. The leak of HR complaints may well go down as her fatal mistake, exposing her desperation and manipulative tactics for all to see.
Act in it. And I wanted to make sure this film always had a female gaze, and I was never putting myself into it. But one of the things that I think is very easy to say, especially for us.
Instead of Baldoni being harmed, it is Blake who watches her reputation crumble. The legal battle may continue, but one fact is undeniable. Her attempts to bury Justin have only buried herself. Baldoni, armed with facts, integrity, and a commitment to transparency, is emerging victorious. Blake's calculated takedown has completely backfired, and Hollywood is observing the fallout with astonishment. The tides have shifted, and what was intended as a savage career strike has become a cautionary tale about how vindictive schemes can implode on the instigator. In the end, the saga serves as a powerful lesson. Deceit only brings destruction, while honesty and perseverance win. Blake Lively now faces the harsh reality of her choices, while Justin Baldoni stands tall, his reputation intact and his future brighter than ever. What was meant to be his downfall has instead become her undoing, and both the public and the industry are taking